Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Leveraging the Power of Technology session at the RWA State Convention. We're so glad you joined us for today for this session. In the interest of time, speakers will introduce themselves. My name is Sean Kirk, and I'm a liaison with the Ally Alliance. Before we get started, we want to remind people to be sure to check their schedules for all of the exciting opportunities today during the convention. One of our new and exciting projects is the Aquila Connect. Be sure to stop by the Aquila Connect tables right across the registration today so you can learn more. Thank you for joining us today in session. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thanks so much. So make sure everybody that has joined virtually has been let in. And nope, I did not. There are 2 people in the waiting room. See? Okay, now I think everybody's in. All right. And so if anybody else joins, I will make sure that I get them in. Okay, so I am, after that wonderful introduction, you heard a little bit about me. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about me throughout the presentation. So I'm Gretchen. I am an occupational therapist, and I'm going to be presenting about technology for accessibility. So it's going to be a little bit different. It's not assistive technology. It's just about technology for accessibility. So it's a different framework. Okay. So I like to give an overview so everyone knows what to expect, what we're going to talk about today. We're going to have an introduction. We're going to talk about technology and context. So remember I said it's not assistive technology, which a lot of times when people talk to people with disabilities about technology, that's all they want to talk about is assistive technology. We're talking about it a little bit differently. We're talking about technology disparity and what that means and how we can change that, and technology accessibility, what technology should look like, and the tech mentor model, which is how we can bridge those gaps. We're also going to talk a little bit about next steps for what we can do to change it. All right, so a little bit about me. I am a child of a parent with a disability. You can see in the picture over there, that's my dad in the middle. He was a wheelchair user. So I was very familiar with physical accessibility and how to make things more physically accessible, because he actually had been in a wheelchair pretty much my entire life up until when he passed away a few years ago. Oh, wow. So physical stuff I was familiar with. I am a hearing aid user. So things that help make things more accessible for people that have difficulty hearing things, I'm very familiar with. My mother's a hearing aid user. My grandmother was a hearing aid user. Pretty much everyone in my family on my mom's side wears hearing aids. So things that make things more accessible, like TTY or captioning, I've been able to see how that's changed over the course of my lifespan, which is 40 years. It's a long time. And things have changed so much in 40 years. I'm an occupational therapist. Who knows what occupational therapy is or has had an occupational therapist? I got hands in the back. Awesome. Awesome. I love seeing that people know what occupational therapy is. Okay. So some of you may have worked with an occupational therapist before, and some people come to me, they're like, do you help people get jobs? No, I don't do that. Are you a physical therapist? No, that's not my job either. I'm not a physical therapist. I'm an occupational therapist.
People get technology.
I do. I work with technology, but I also work with everything about a person, not just their muscles, not just their minds, not just how they see. I work with everything about that person, what you like, what you care about, what you want to do, and everything in the room around you, and all the people that you talk to. That's my job. I look at how all those pieces fit together and come up with a solution to make you as successful as possible. That's how I view my job. I'm a problem solver. These are problem solvers. Anyway, that's how I think. So I've worked in the schools. I worked in behavioral health. I've worked in group homes. I worked in specialized schools. And I was the clinical director for Powerup with Has My Guy, which is right across the street. go straight to the hallway. And I learned so much about how technology could help support the people I work with. Because I'm going to give you a secret. I am not a technology expert. Nope. Everything I've learned by trial and error. I try it. If it works, yay. If it doesn't, try something else. There are no mistakes that you can make. And that's what I want you to remember as we go through this. That anyone can do what I'm talking about in terms of using technology. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be the IT guy or the people in the blue shirts at the Apple store. What are those? Does anyone know what those guys are called? I used to know their names. That's it. Those geniuses at the Genius Bar. You don't have to be one of those to be able to do what I do. Right. So, quick question. Raise your hand if you have a cell phone right now in this room. Okay. All right. Hands down. If you can't raise your hand, you can also just like put your chin up. Because my dad could never raise his hands, and he was always like, people. I would be like, his hands up. Anyway, so just to be inclusive. And then, how comfortable are you with new technology? So if you have to get a new cell phone, do you know right away how to use it, or are you kind of like, I got to figure this out first?
No.
What do you think? If put a here we go. What's this? If you automatically get your new phone and take it out of the box and you're ready to go, I want you to either put two hands in the air or say, yep. I got a few of those. All right, hands out. If you get your new phone and you're like, where are my apps? Where's my phone numbers? Need a little bit of help. I want you to say, All right, that's how most of us are. That's normal. I get my new phone, I'm like, hey, Apple geniuses, tell me how to load this up, fix it up. Okay, so we all have barriers to technology access, even me, even your caregivers, everybody, right? But when you have a disability, those barriers get, right? They grow because you have all those other barriers on top of it. So you, for yourself, while we're going through here, I want you to be thinking, what barriers do I have to getting technology? And how can I get over those barriers? Oh, somebody came in the room. Okay, there you go. All right. So we're talking about technology in context. Remember, I told you I'm not really talking about assistive technology. I'm just talking about technology. I'm talking about our cell phones. I'm talking about our TV. I'm talking about your tablet. I'm talking about your computer. I'm talking about all the tech, your lights, all that tech stuff. And it is that standard technology, my phone, it was developed by a neurotypical person for neurotypical people. Right? Maybe. I don't know. He might have been neurodiverse. I don't know about Steve Jobs. All right. But generally speaking, they're not thinking about everyone's special needs. Come on in. Come on in. Yeah, this is not technology. We can find this. If we can find this seat, I think there might be some. So everybody, it seems like, I know a lot of you in this room have cell phones, but we all need technology. People shop from their phones. You learn on the internet. You got to go to Zoom meetings. Hi, everybody. And you have to be able to use technology to be included, right? So raise your hand or say, yeah, if you felt a barrier because you don't have the same access to technology as everybody else. Okay, I got one, a couple, okay. But people with disabilities a lot of times do have barriers because technology is not made for people with disabilities. And the research says, there's this research, that's it, like Johansson, he did some research. He said individuals with disabilities often have barrier to cognitive access in digital society that leave them disconnected from their support systems. It makes it harder to connect with people. When you think about technology, remember I said we're not just talking about assistive technology. We're talking about the technology that everyone uses. We use technology for three things. We use it for activities. We use it for education, work, shopping, manage our money. I know I do my banking online. I use it for fun, play video games, right? And talk to people, social interactions. We call people, do video chats, we text, do social media, we hang out virtually. And then the last thing is cognitive support. When people think cognitive support, they're probably thinking, I don't have a cognitive problem. But cognitive support is anything we use to help us manage our time better, stay organized. Yeah.
Medication.
Pay attention.
No,
Yeah.
medication.
Medication, yes, medication. Remember to take our medication. Yeah, yep. Your phone? Yep. Like it. Communicate. We also use it for biofeedback. I have a Fitbit. That's technology, right? It tells me you walk this many steps today, your heart rate's this. That's biofeedback. That's what we talk about with biofeedback. And notifications, medication. So we know when to take our medication. We know when somebody's joined the Zoom meeting, so I can let them in. Those are all types of cognitive support that everyone uses, whether you have a disability or you don't have a disability. So technology disparity, that's a big word, big concept. A lot of times you hear the word digital divide, especially COVID times, right? Everyone was like, there's a big digital divide. People that live in rural areas don't have access to technology. Older people that never had technology growing up don't have access to technology. There's a digital divide. I'm like, I want to show of hands. Tell me if you did not grow up with a computer in school. Right? So I see a few people that didn't have computers in school. I was right in that middle range. We had big old Apple computers in kindergarten. We played Oregon Trail and did math games.
And then when I got to middle school, we had the CD
Yep.
computers.
Yeah, the CDs and computers, hard disks. Yeah. You have a question? Okay, go ahead.
And it's like, and also you can like play games, get points on like the games and stuff like that. And also this experience having used that whole convention.
Did you have a question or did you say something? So the next thing with the disparity, when we talk technology disparity, it's a little different than that digital divide. The technology disparity is specifically how much people with disabilities uses their technology or how they use their technology versus how people without disabilities use their technology and how they benefit from it. Like what you get out of it, right? Do you use it just for watching videos or communication because someone gave you an assistive technology device? Or are you able to do all of the things? Are you able to do your shopping? Are you able to get your groceries delivered? Are you able to go to the bank? Are you able to use social media, set your alarm, make a phone call, manage your medicine, all from your phone or all from your computer, all from your tablet? That's what the digital divide is, because technology has the power to eliminate systemic disparities. Another big word, right? That just means eliminate barriers. Eliminate those barriers. Eliminate barriers to being able to go wherever you want, right? From your living room. With technology, I can go anywhere in the world without leaving my bed. That's pretty cool. It has the power to transform human relationships. I can connect with anyone anywhere in the world without leaving my bed. But I can only do it with technology. And it also has the power to empower self-determination. With technology, I can do things on my own without help. As a hearing aid user, that's a big one for me because I have to have my hearing aids to be able to hear everyone. But also as a hearing aid user, has anyone noticed that now captions are available pretty much everywhere, right?
And you can hook it up to your cell phone now,
Mhm.
the hearing aids.
Yeah. I see
You
that.
can hook the cell phone.
So captions are available pretty much anywhere. When I was a kid, when I first realized I had a hard time hearing, there weren't captions. You had to pay extra money or get a special consideration from the phone and the cable company or the people to have them put a little special device that connected to your TV so you could have captions. The power of technology is it's always changing. There's always something new. I don't know everything. And I'm the first person I'll stand in front of you and say, I don't know everything. I don't. Because there's always other opportunities. There's always other stuff. All right. So technology accessibility. We're talking about technology, blah, blah, blah. Accessibility. We talk about accessibility all the time. Everybody in this room probably knows about the American with Disabilities Act. Did you know that the Americans Disabilities Act is younger than me? It's only 32 years old. It's only 32 years old. And it doesn't say anything about technology. Because 32 years ago, that wasn't the issue. The issue was 32 years ago, the people with disabilities couldn't get inside buildings. The people with disabilities couldn't go to a restaurant. I have seen the kitchens of more restaurants in the state of Virginia than probably anybody in this room. Because my dad was in a wheelchair and there were no accessible entrances. But he was determined that he was going to go to that restaurant and they had back entrances with ramps or ways that we could make it work, or a loading dock. You can lower the lift right down on the loading dock and you can roll right through the kitchen. Now that's not a problem. Physical access is no longer a problem in most places. It's still a fight. You've got to make sure people are following the rules. But now when it comes to physical access, being able to physically get into a place, most of us, most places, most buildings are accessible in physical ways. Most places now have captioning. I call those sensory neural, which means it has to do with my senses, or if you have low vision, a lot of places, I don't know if you've ever noticed on the doors, there's Braille. That's commonplace. It's become what we call universal design. People just do it, make it more accessible. But they're not really always making technology accessible. Some websites, has anyone ever gone to like a website and been like, I'm just trying to find where I order? Like, where's my shopping cart on this website? And I don't know where it is. I can't find it. I'm not going to shop there. It's like, but the same thing happens with banking websites, or they're confusing, they're complicated. They're not accessible. People aren't thinking about accessibility. I have to watch the time because I'm notorious for going over, talk too much. So there are no real guidelines in the law for what technology has to be to make it accessible, except Section 508 compliance. So Section 508 compliance has to do with federal government websites that they have to give disabled employees and members of the public access to information comparable to access available to others. Okay, so they're saying it has to be just as accessible as it is for everybody else. They don't say what that means in that document. They just say it has to be as accessible as it is for everybody else. If I can't find the shopping cart, it's okay if you can't find the shopping cart. But they've taken it a little bit further. Most phones, most tablets, most technology now have accessibility settings. So someone said, we're going to make the technology more accessible by putting some preloaded things in there. that we've seen people need. So you can make the font bigger. You can enable a screen reader. You can use dictation. How many uses like talks to their phone to dictate, so typing, right? So yeah, in the very beginning, that was assistive technology. You had to wear a headset and you had to read to your computer so that it would understand what you were saying. And some people did that, and that's how we learned. All of these cool accessibility features came from pioneers that tried out this assistive technology. So if you're using assistive technology now, maybe someday that'll just be normal. It'll just be what we have. It'll just be when you pick up your phone, it comes preloaded with that. This little symbol, has anyone ever seen this blue circle with the white person inside on a website down in the bottom corner? Yeah, a lot of times you see those on government websites. And if you click on them, they give you some options for accessibility features. One of the options is screen reader. So it'll read what's on the text. Another option is that it can make the font bigger or zoom in so you can see it. Another option sometimes is what they call focus. So you're in that page and it takes out all the distracting stuff and the videos and the pop-up ads. They also have what's called dyslexia font, which means that it's a really interesting font for people that have difficulty with reading or discerning letters. So like one side is really bold and the other side's less bold. So it helps to make the letters stand out. So they've put a lot of different features in there, but it could be better. Another guideline that's sort of the accessibility standard requirements is called Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. It's an addendum, but not part of ADA. It says technology must be perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. And I'm going to go through each of these. So I've got some pictures of people using some assistive technology. And due to rapid changes in technology, accommodations are often reactive instead of proactive. And I have this on every slide because it pertains. And what that means is a lot of times we don't know what we need until the technology is already out there, right? So, when there were silent movies, they had captions. People would hold up signs, but they couldn't hear anything. People would just act out things. They'd be like, oh no, and then run away. So they were captioned already. But then when they switched to talking movies, they didn't put captions back. And they didn't realize someone might need that. And so later somebody had to come back and go back through, we got to put captions back in here. And how do we do it? We're not gonna have someone hold up a card in the theater. Oh no.
They have captioning, they have movies that use,
Yeah.
it's like, especially for people with captioning problems. And it's hard. I went into one and it was hard. I couldn't have captioning problems, but the background was hard to see.
Yeah, sometimes it is hard to see. Yeah, and so that's something that they could do better.
Do
you have something to show me? Okay.
She's using live transcribe.
Yeah. Are you telling me all this stuff? Oh, I love it. You're using your captioning on your phone. I love that live captioning. That's awesome.
And sometimes the captions can be really helpful because it's like you don't understand what's going on in the movie, and it's like captions on, and it says something like,
Right.
This is exactly. But it's really. But then when they came out with the movies, it's like, oh, now yes, it's now in the yes, it was in the theaters, but
Then to
now
go
we
back
gotta
and
go
do
back and
Great.
all of the captions now in
They had to go back and fix that. So that's that reactive piece. It's not, we're going to go on, so we can take more questions in just a little bit. When we talk about that reactive versus proactive, they're not creating technology with people with disabilities in mind, right? They're having to go back and change things. So perception, captions is a big one. It's talking about how the content, how is what we're seeing delivered. Can you actually perceive or take in that information? Remember our NOT, so I always think about how do those neurons work? We call them like information comes in and the brain processes it. So perception is the information coming in. Can I see it? Can I hear it? If I can't see it, I can't hear it. How am I going to access it? And so that's what this perception piece is. So we have visual optimization, which is like the dyslexia font. Or, all right, I use dark mode, and that's why I have a dark background on my slides, because that's best for my eyes. But I know some people do better with a light background and dark text. So that's perception. And in an ideal world, I could take these slides and I could send them to someone and they could change the background to make it work for them. And that's that perception. So does anyone have any other features that improve perception other than captions or the way things look? Yeah.
Question on the
Okay.
dyslexia font. How does that work?
Which one?
Dyslexia. Dyslexia font.
The dyslexia font, it changes how the font on the screen to this font. It's a specific font that someone else did a bunch of research on that helps people with dyslexia. And one side of the font, when I've tried it, because how I learn, I just try it and see what happens. I go, let me click this button. Oh, that's what that does. That doesn't work. Turn it off. But it turns one side of the font is bold and the other side is like a little lighter. So it makes it easier to discern the letters and pick out the different letters.
Like for the Apple phone, they got ART on there for people who can't speak, people can't hear.
Yeah, that's right.
For perception, some people may see like the 3D may not work for some people. Like their eyes just may not be able to understand what that is. So that's another.
Right, exactly. That's something they have like glare protectors. They use so what's your
Yes, so I've seen for most items, some have like special kinds of captioning and the rest is closed captioning. So they don't have to worry, one captioning. Also for my descriptions and glasses.
That's a good point. Another perception that I didn't think about and put on here is alternate text for pictures, right? Because this picture, I didn't describe it, really sorry. It's a man sitting at a computer and he has, it looks like a braille reader that he's using. He has headphones on. And so if you were using a screen reader to see this, you wouldn't know what happened in the picture because the screen reader doesn't read the picture, doesn't know what that is. But if I had typed alternate text here, I'm really sorry if I did it for all the sides. If I typed that, if someone was using a screen reader, it would read what's in the picture. That's another perception access point. Yeah. And so now we're going to go to the next one. We're going to talk about operation. How the content is accessed, right? So we have keyboard access. I can type, I can use my mouse. I can use touch screen, right? And so some people, touch screen's really hard because as an OT, I'm gonna go back to my like OT words. So if you need me to clarify, I can. But we use this thing, it's called like tactile discrimination. Or knowing where you're, or even just like body awareness or spatial perception, knowing where your body is in space. We take in a lot of input from everything around us that help us do things better. So some people do really well with touch screen because they can see and their eyes and their hands work really well together to tap what they want to tap. But some people, that might be hard. Or some people might have a tremor. And so using something on the screen, they might accidentally tap the wrong thing. Or some people like me just have big fingers. And those little buttons are really tiny, so we need to make that more accessible for how we operate it. Or in the picture, there's an iPad and it has these 3 big button switches and it's connected to this little command center controlling it that then feeds it back in. And so that depending on what button that person pushes, it will make that selection for him instead of him having to tap on his iPad or her iPad. Some people use eye gaze to be able to make selections. That's operation. Most technology is really good or getting better. I wouldn't say really good, is getting better with that perception and operation. That's become more mainstream because remember, those are physical problems for the most part, or sensory neural. Has to do with how our eyes work or our ears work, how we hear, how we see. And most disability accommodations address how we hear, how we see, how we move, how we walk. Things are great there. Let's look at did anyone have any other operation things that they know of that they want to share? Because I forgot to ask that.
And that's, the Xbox has a disability thing, you can hook different devices to it. So you
Right.
can play in your wheelchair.
Yeah, that's I think a thing too. That'd be cool. Yeah, you've got their thing that holds it up there. That's your operation. Yeah. And your control for your wheelchair, that's an operation access. Anything else? Yeah, we got it.
I have a friend of mine, CNC store, she has assistive technology. But, I tried to get me assistive technology, but, it did not deny me because I get the biggest waiver in whole state of Virginia, since I want my taste. But I just said, no, I'm not gonna do assistive technology, so, you know, I get the biggest waiver and
I really moved by the vendors at some areas called Reactive.
Yeah.
Maps of the I don't think.
Thank you. So now we're going to the next one. Technology needs to be understandable. That means able to be comprehended. That's the content, like what you see, it's delivered by the technology and also the instructions. All right, here we go. We got another place. I am an Apple user. Any Android users in the house? All right. Okay, we've got a few Android users in the house. So the rest of you, I'm guessing, are you Apple people?
Yes.
Have you ever tried to pick up an Android phone
Yeah.
and turn it on? Because I didn't, the first time I got an Android phone, I didn't know how to turn it on. I was like, where's the power button on this thing?
I don't know how to turn on the app.
Yeah. Right, exactly. And some people don't know how to turn on Apple phones. That's the operation instructions. That's knowing how to use it. You know, I can't just go pick it up and go, oh, I use this thing. Do that. So there are different, do anyone know any features of technology that make it easier to understand either how to use it or how to access the content? So if you go to a website or you get an app, is there anything that tells you like how to use it that makes it easier?
Siri. Siri.
Oh, Siri. Siri helps. If you're an Apple user,
Yeah.
if you're an Android user, maybe Google.
I would say something really cool is the help button on your phone. Or like for Apple, you go to your settings, you go to your help button.
I didn't know about that help section. Thank you, that is a good tip, I'm gonna share. Does anybody else know it?
YouTube. I go to YouTube sometimes and say how to.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
YouTube's great, maybe somebody else down TikTok. Yeah.
I.
I'm just saying that, Alexa, like people who use Alexa.
Or Siri. And on communication devices, sometimes there's like a word finder that will help. Has anyone ever used the lamp? It's a assistive technology. And sometimes they're like, I don't know where this word is. Word finder. I'm gonna type it in. That will help me find it, right? So I learned something new today. Thank you. Thank you. Another thing is if there's something that's designed specifically for people with disabilities, that helps it be more understandable. And it's something that you can, there's different apps, there's a lot of them, like I just went, there's Safe and Home has some technology that's specifically designed that makes it more accessible and understandable and easier to use. So there's different special stuff too that you can use that makes it easier and understandable. Yeah, do you have something to tell me?
Just that she understands, and just that he does it.
Got it. On your iPad, right? Okay. So she's saying that she uses things and like asks for help on her iPad, and that helps her. So the last one that we talk about when we talk about accessibility is robust. Really abstract word. It means like big and bold, but really what it means is it's able to be used in various ways across multiple platforms, which means if I go to the website on my phone, it works the same as the website on my computer, and I know what to expect. It's robust. Technology has to be, or accessible technology is robust. That means I can, if I'm an Apple user, I should be able to do the same thing, basically, kind of, on an Android device. And that particular app, like Candy Crush works the same, right? If I do Candy Crush on my phone, on my tablet, it's gonna be the same. And another one that I like to think about with this is, does anyone use the credit card machines at stores? Those are technology. Are they robust? Are they the same at every store?
No.
If I want to do credit, sometimes I push the yellow button, sometimes I push the red button, sometimes I push the green button. And some stores are really nice. They make that accessible by putting a label on their reader to say for credit, push green. I like those stores because it takes out the guessing game. Tells me what to do. That's robust. That's accessible. Apps, we have all these little video chat options. We've got Discord, we've got Skype, we've got Facebook Messenger, we've got WhatsApp. I don't even know, oh, that's Facetune. There's Google Duo, there's Zoom, there's Google Meets, there's Microsoft Teams. There's, during COVID, when everyone was virtual, all of us had to manage lots of different meeting platforms, probably. You know, it might be Google Meets, it might be Zoom, it might be Microsoft Teams, it might be WebEx, and some of the others. Each one has different rules. They're not the same. If I want to share my screen on Zoom, I hit one button. If I want to find the chat, it's here. If I want to, it's there in a different one. That's, to be robust, it would be in every video chat app I pull up, I know where I can chat with people. Yeah, exactly. And what would be great is if I could customize it for my needs. If Zoom would let me, you can come in if you want. I think there's a seat, there's one in the back.
Yoga was a good thing.
This is technology.
Yoga's outside.
So if you could customize your, if you're like, my right side is really strong. My left side, not so great. And going across my body is really hard. So it would be awesome if I could put all the important stuff on the right side of my screen. Right? If I could put the Zoom chat button on the right side of my screen, that would be way easier for me. In Zoom, I can't do that. I can't make changes. Zoom, they made their technology. They said, this is the best way to do it. Google Meet said, this is the best way to do it. And they didn't talk to each other and agree because they're different companies. They didn't work together. So I want to come and say, well, what if, I'm always big on what if we came up with a way that I could do that. That we could work together. We could put a little accessibility feature, right? I can move my icons on my tablet screen. Why can't I move the icons on Zoom? I'm gonna move my chat button down to the right side, right lower corner. And I always know that it's on the right lower corner. We call that motor planning for OT people. And so you always know where something is. If I have to switch between Zoom and Google Meets, I get really confused. I'm like, wait, what? Hold on. I was just in a Google Meets meeting. Now I came to a Zoom meeting. In Google Meets, I click these buttons and I try to click those buttons. I'm like, oh, that's not where the chat is. The chat's over here. And then inevitably, when I first started using Google Meet, I used to hang up on people. Because the hang up button was where the mute button was on Zoom. Right? And you're because you get used to, I'm just gonna mute. And then you're like, oh, that was the hang up button. Sorry. But guess what? I still do that sometimes. Because your body, everyone's body, but especially people whose brains are wired a little bit differently, the more we do something, the more we practice it, our body becomes automatic and we're just gonna do it. We're just gonna tap this button. One time when I was working, they moved my mailbox. Mailbox used to be, I just walk around and I grab my mail, I pull it down. And then the next day I went back and I was like, oh, we went. And walking my office, this is not my mail. What mail is this? And I'm like, I walk back and I'm like, somebody switched my mailbox. It took me, I had to think. I had to really think hard every time I went to the mailbox. It wasn't an automatic thing anymore. I had to like go, okay, I gotta go look at the mailbox, make sure it's my name. Oh, that's my mailbox. Until I left that company. I never figured it out. It never got automatic because it just wasn't in the right space. Our bodies want routine. We want to be robust. We want things to be able to be changed, to be able to work. That's what robust is. Does anybody know anything that makes technology more robust? I learned something from you guys on the other one, so I'm hoping you can help me out here.
Yeah, vehicles. The smart vehicles, are robust. Yeah. Because they now have lane assist. Where if you're driving and you even move over to somebody else's lane, it beeps and it tells you, hey, you gotta get back over, or your steering wheel will actually.
That's magic. My car doesn't do that.
Or stop on an
You
exit.
know what though? Probably if I drove your car for a while and then I got back in my car, I might get in an accident. Because I get used to my car just moving itself over.
And then it'll actually slow you down. You have some of these vehicles that if you use cruise control and you go to 6 miles, once you get too close, it'll slow you down.
That's amazing. Technology is so cool. It's so cool. It's all technical.
So in my car, it has heads-up display that shows up on the windshield. You don't have to keep looking down and trying to figure out your speed and all that.
Yeah, that's awesome. This is technology is so cool. I could say that 10 times a day. And I never thought, remember, I didn't grow up with computers. I didn't have my first computer in my house until I was 13. I went to college and I didn't have a computer in my dorm. I used to go down to the computer lab and do my papers. So I didn't think I was ever going to be the person to stand up here and go, technology is so cool. But it is. It's cool. I don't play video games. I know I get that all the time. They're like, you don't play video games? I'm like, yeah. I tried. The eye-hand coordination, the buttons, wasn't my thing. Some people are awesome at video games. And video games are starting to become more accessible too, right? There's lots of different options for that. So that's what it means. We're moving into these ways. How can we make sure we're accommodating for right. Oh, you got it in the phone? Yeah, it does help because you have it, you can stick it on your chair. So I don't know if you looked at the picture of my dad, because my dad was in a wheelchair and he used his chin to drive his chair. And we used to make, I told him I'm a problem solver. I learned it at a long age. And he had a cell phone, like one of the old cell phones that had like not a flip phone. This person, how's a person that can't like use their hands to open a flip phone? That didn't work. Didn't have a flip phone. He had one that had the, it wasn't that big. It was like this big that had the buttons on it. It was a screen, little screen and buttons. And he used his chin control, kind of like where your arm control and you have your phone set right here. We put Velcro on the chin control. Or actually, no, they used a car adapter. They used a car adapter that you click the speaker phone into and connected that to his chin control. And they put the speaker behind his wheelchair.
Cool.
It took us a long time before they added the earbud piece. So he's just using like his speaker and everyone could hear what our grocery lists were in the grocery store.
Oh, I forgot this. You forgot that.
He would call and be like, what do you need from the store? And I was like, well, I need peanut butter. And I don't know, what do you have for dinner? Everyone in the store heard our conversation, but that was the best option they had at the time. And then he got an earbud, so funny too. But he didn't have a way to tap it, right? So he used, now they make styluses. They didn't have styluses. They have mouse sticks. He went with dual purpose because he always had to sign stuff. So he took a pen. He put a piece of plastic tubing on the end of it and a piece of Velcro around the cap of the pen. And it would stick on top of his chin control. And so if he needed to make a phone call, he would pick his phone up, call. And that was his solution to the problem. But technology wasn't designed with that in mind. That wasn't what the car mount was for. But that's what we worked it out to. So there's different ways to make it work for you and lots of ways to make it more robust. But it has to be able to work across multiple platforms. So like in that example, a speaker mount that was made for a car worked as a speaker mount for a wheelchair. I'm pretty sure the designers had no idea that was a way that we were going to use it, right? Exactly. So bringing it all together. Current systems vary in their methodology and how they do things. They can be confusing to use. The lack of consistency across platforms makes learning to use technology challenging for people with additional cognitive processing support needs or any support needs. But I'm specifically thinking about the cognitive processing, how our brains work, how things are wired. Because no one thinks like you. The only person that thinks like you is you. And you're the only one that can set up your environment and your technology to work best for you. Someone can help you do that. But I don't expect Apple to design the whole iPhone to fit my needs. That's why they have the App Store, so that I can go and do that. Android's a little more flexible. Android, you can create different ways that you can do layouts. It doesn't always look the same as Apple, but we're thinking outside the box. You want to think about how can you do this? How can you overcome these barriers? And this is what we call a rhetorical question, because I have an answer that I think is a way to do it. And the way is this tech mentor model, right? So tech mentor model is where people teach people to use technology. It sounds simple, right? It sounds like that should be simple. What that means is that we're trying to build self-determination. We're trying to build, I can do it. I can use my own technology. And I know everyone in this room, you're all self-advocates, everyone that's here, because you're here. So you're the people that are going out there and getting things for yourself, but sometimes we need help. Sometimes we need support to build our self-determination skills. What we call tech literacy, how we use technology. And there's 3 steps to the tech mentor model. Step 1 is coaching. Partnering with the person that needs to learn to use technology. Now, this person could be a person with a disability. It could be my grandmother. You don't know, because they just people that need help using technology. You're going to introduce the technology, support the ongoing use, and build their confidence. Customize. Now, all of this is happening at the same time. It's not like do this, then this, then this. You're doing it all together. So you're always coaching. You're always customizing. Because remember, I said everything's trial and error. You're gonna try. If it works, yay. If it doesn't work, okay, we're gonna try something else. So that's this monitor piece. So we're going to choose the technology together. We're going to help the person access it. Oh, this is my 10-minute warning. We're gonna help the person access it. And then we're gonna watch. We're gonna say, is that working? What do we need to change? What do we need to do? And the biggest piece to all of this is collaborating with the team. Everybody that supports the person trying to use technology has to work together. Because if I work with you on Tuesday and we set up your iPhone and we get it all set up with the apps that you want to use, and then Joe comes in and he works with you on Friday and he's like, I don't like how this looks. I'm gonna move this stuff over here. That's not gonna work. Or you tell Joe, I don't like how this works, but Joe doesn't tell me. And then I come back on Tuesday and I'm like, who's been touching this iPhone? I had it set the way I wanted it. It's not gonna work, right? So you have to sort of do that. Have that communication with everyone. And that means if you have assistive technology, the technology company, the people that you work with day to day, the clinicians that help refer you, everybody's got to talk together. Everybody's got to talk together. All right. I'm just going to go through these really quick. So I just realized we're almost out of time. Who can be a tech mentor? Anyone. Anyone can be a tech mentor. Anyone. All it takes to be a tech mentor is to be curious. Be okay, try it out. Be observant, watch what's happening. Be aware, know what's going on, know what new technologies are available. The most important thing for those of you that are supporting people with disabilities is presume competence. Don't say, oh, he can't do that. I don't think anyone in this room would say that, but I'm sure we've all met people that we've worked with who said, there's no way that person's going to be able to do that. And I say, oh yeah, let's see. I'm going to figure something out, and presume confidence in yourself. Remember how I came in here and said, I'm not the expert. I'm not a technology person. And I could have stayed in that, like, I don't know enough about technology to stand up here and talk about technology mode. But I said, no, I'm competent. I know what I'm talking about. So that goes for the tech mentor and for the person you're supporting. It's okay to make mistakes. Just one second. I'm gonna get questions at the end. Right now, I gotta get through. So when we're talking about that mindset, what are we gonna do? We gotta build technology literacy. So if you wanna be a tech mentor, you've gotta know a little bit about technology, right? A little bit. Means you need to know how it works, but not like, I don't need to know like how the data gets from North Dakota to my phone. I don't need to know anything about that. I just need to know how it works, how to use it. I need to know kind of how to make accommodations. Now, I might not know everything about accommodations. Or you might not know everything about accommodations, but you can call someone. That's how you build a team. Figure out what accommodations you need. Go through the steps, figure out those accommodations. You empower voice and choice and communication and self-expression. I work with a lot of people that without technology, people don't know what they're saying. People don't understand them, or people don't know what they want. So that is your role as a tech mentor, is to support building those skills, building those self-expression skills. Build technology as a lifelong resource. So recognizing, okay, so I don't know if anyone's ever heard like equity and access are not the same, or equality and equity are not the same. Like I'm gonna give everybody in here, if I were Oprah, I could come in and be like, you get an iPhone and you get an iPhone and you get an iPhone and you get an iPhone. Equity, access, everybody has access to it. All right, now everybody know how to use it. They buy it now. And then you walk away. Everybody's got iPhones, got access. You got access to technology. That's not what it's about. Technology is a lifelong resource. It's an always evolving process of how are we going to use it? And it might change over time, right? The phone that works for you today might not work for you tomorrow. Something new might come out that's going to make it better. Sometimes you might need supports, but then you keep using your technology every day as a resource. It's not just for entertainment. It's not just to watch YouTube videos. It's not just because my speech therapist gave this to me and they told me that this is how I communicate. It's more than that. And so as a tech mentor, one of the roles of a tech mentor, and the really important role, is to support an individual in realizing that technology can do more than one thing. I can use my same phone that I call my mom to pay my bills, to watch my YouTube videos, to play Candy Crush, to talk to my friend in Germany, and I can even turn my lights on and off, right? I can't because I don't have smart plugs. But if I did, I could turn my lights on and off. I could. And so that's the cool thing about technology as a lifelong resource, is it's not just one thing, and remembering that. So I think I am almost, people are leaving on me and I'm out of time, but going to the 4 things is we're increasing that participation and dependence, building self-awareness, practicing self-expression and all that. And we don't have time for discussion because you guys were great the whole time and brought so much to this. And I have 1 minute, 1 minute. I don't see anything. I mean, double check the chat because I feel like I've been neglecting y'all on Zoom. So hold on. There's nothing in the chat, so we're good. And I think you can get links. If you have questions and you want to stay and talk, we have about 15 minutes, I think, before the next thing. So I'm willing to stay and talk. If anyone on the Zoom has
But every time she calls me, says, I don't know what to do, I messed something up, I tell her, don't touch anything. Would your advice be to say, go ahead and keep going and try it on your own, or would you say?
I wouldn't have her do it without you there if she's worried, because you don't want her to mess something